Welcome to the Mema 1904 conference room. This room is a reasonably simple setup that involves a 80-inch television. It has a 15 directional microphone array that looks like a sound bar below the television. It also has a pan tilt zoom camera. In this room, we have some room controls, and we have the ability to do both video conferencing as well as both wired and wireless presentation systems. And so to walk you through each of those, I'm going to start with what you would do when you first enter the room, which is going to be, you're going to walk into the room, and to the left of the television, you're going to see a small wall plate that has 8 different buttons. The power button is going to be highlighted in red, which you'll see here. And so the first thing you're going to do is to actually press that power button. So that'll be step 1. And the power button will activate the television and turn on the television, as well as activate the or let the control unit, the master control unit, know that that you're about to use the system, and it will begin to initialize its different setups. It will automatically default to HDMI 1, and that default setting is for the Barco system. So just like the members conference room, the Barco is your wireless presentation system, and so this room is set up to default to, when you power on the unit, it should default to the Barco application. And this is the splash screen you should receive on the television itself. And again, you see down in the very bottom of this image, you'll see the camera and the microphone array below the actual image. Just like in the other scenarios, or in the members conference room, we'll talk about how to operate the Barco. It's the exact same as the members conference room. But one thing I did want to note is that if you want to switch to the HDMI 2 for video conferencing, which is what you're going to need to do for a video conferencing application like Skype, you're going to switch to HDMI 2. And so you would get up and walk over and press HDMI 2 on the room control panel. You also have volume controls, which is going to change the TV volume up or down, depending on which button you choose. The VGA and the DisplayPort buttons are not active, so you don't need to worry about those, nor is the room front PC active in this particular configuration. So we really only have 5 of 8 buttons that are being used: power, HDMI 1, HDMI 2, and then volume up and down. The power button, when the TV is powered up, will switch from red to what you now see is blue, to let you know that the TV is powered on. Not that you wouldn't already be able to understand that. Again, just like the members conference room and all of your different AV applications, the primary presentation device to be used is the Barco ClickShare. And the Barco ClickShare runs through a USB port. It is step in, step out. It does require an application to be loaded into your device. When you connect the Barco ClickShare, it will automatically load an applet that you will have to launch inside of Windows to be able to use it. When you make that connection, the lights themselves, the actual LED light will be red, and then if you are presenting, this LED light will turn to white. So white equals presenting, red equals not presenting. It is step in, step out, and so while you have 2 people that could potentially present or have the Barco ClickShares connected to their devices at the same time, only one person will present at a time, And if they want to toggle over to the other computer, whoever has that second computer can simply click the button, providing they're running the applet, and they will start presenting. So again, step in, step out technology for the barcode click share. On the table, this is where you're going to handle your video conferencing. As I mentioned before, you're going to need to be able to use your laptop because you're going to be using your Skype device or GoToMeeting application or WebEx or Google Hangouts, whatever application you guys want to use. You basically have the ability to support it through these two devices. You're going to start by selecting HDMI on the actual control panel. Again, remember from the previous slide, it's the bottom HDMI. So it's the second HDMI, and then you're going to start by plugging in the HDMI cable to your laptop, which is going to handle the video transmission from your laptop to the actual television itself, so that everybody in the room can see what you're doing on your laptop. And then this is a standard USB cable, and this USB cable provides access to the microphone and the pan tilt zoom camera for the video conference. So while your laptop is on the desk, the entire room can participate in the Skype call via the centrally located pan tilt zoom camera and USB microphone. One thing to note is that you will need to go into your Windows settings and make sure that the microphone selected is the MT600 and the camera is the PTZ Optics camera, to make sure that those settings are activated, in either using the Skype application or using control panel settings and then audio in Windows. Typically speaking, Windows should remember those settings so that the next time you connect, it should automatically default to those settings when you plug in this USB cable. But always make sure, particularly if you're having a transmission issue or you see that you don't see yourself in the preview screen of Skype for Business, always make sure that the PTZ Optics camera is activated and the MT600 is activated as well. The MT600 is what you're going to select for both the microphone as well as the speaker for the conference. What's happening is your audio signal is being sent via the USB to the microphone. The microphone is then sending a audio out signal from the far end audio to the television speakers to be able to do that. Again, if you want to raise the volume, you can do so on the touch panel on the wall to the left of the TV, or you can actually just use the sharp remote as well if you want to be able to just raise and lower the volume in that particular capacity. This is the camera remote control. If you want to use the camera particularly if you want to zoom it in or pan it, depending on where you're seated in the room for the video conference, you do have a remote control that enables you to do that. On the remote control, I'm going to highlight a couple of things that you might want to know. This is, first of all, this is a 12x PTZ camera. As a result, if you look at the room configuration, with the layout that you guys have, the camera is here, and if you were to the far view is going to look like this, and then if you zoomed in all the way to the back to a back tight shot, it's going to look like this. So as you have people seating across the room itself, this is going to be your angle of view. So another way that I try to let people know is this is going to be kind of 1x, or the default, basically your whole scenario, and then it will gradually, as you zoom in, the shot to the seat will get tighter. Okay. So if you want everybody to be in frame on camera, you're going to have it zoomed out all the way. If you're sitting in the back of the room and you want to have a nice tight headshot, you're probably going to want to zoom it in. You're also going to want to potentially pan it. So to start, you have two zoom functions. You have zoom slow and zoom fast. I always tell people, go ahead and start with the zoom slow. It gives you a lot more control over the actual optics, optical settings of the camera. And then if you want to pan the camera, the PTZ is pan, tilt, zoom. So we've covered the zoom, and now these buttons actually handle the pan. So if you want to move the camera to the left or the right, you're going to use these four arrow buttons, as well as up and down if you want to adjust those camera settings as well. You also have a set of pre-programmed settings in the top. Presetting number 1 is a far shot, and you can actually go and hold down the preset button 3, preset button 4 to be able to save your actual camera shots, and it'll save it back back there as well. At the bottom of the remote, you also have focus features. By default, the camera is set to autofocus. So you really shouldn't have to worry about that too much. If you want to operate the room in the dark, you may have to click the backlight setting, just to make sure that the contrast settings on the camera are there. Again, play with those at your convenience. It's really pretty intuitive. However, I always recommend that you go ahead and start play with those settings before you start the actual video conference. But again, the primary functions that you're going to use in this particular scenario are the zoom functions, and you'll probably end up I recommend you end up using zoom slow to begin with. If you do want to power the camera down, there is a power button at the top. We don't necessarily recommend you powering the camera down. You'll see that there's a blue LED on the camera to let you know that it's powered on. That blue LED turns off when it's powered off. Under the table in the far on the far table on the back right of the room, you have the different control units for the actual room. You have the barcode unit here, and to know that it is operational and pushing, or that it's not asleep, this will be bright white and solid. And if it's asleep, it will be dim white and blinking. So if for some reason you walk into the room, you press the power button on the wall control system, and the barcode white splash screen does not show up on the television, the first thing I would recommend you do is to go back to that far back right table and just pop your head underneath the table and determine whether or not this light is set to bright. The barcodes have been set to never sleep, so it should not be an issue as far as them going to sleep. But that would be the first thing I would do as far as troubleshooting the actual barcode unit. On the other side of the metal table, or the metal support structure for the table, is the Atlanta control system. I've given you a picture of this only really for troubleshooting purposes. Should you move the room around, you want to make sure that the wires are all properly connected. They are being connected into the floor box. There is one connection from the from the TV to this unit via Cat5, and then this is the internet connection or network connection to the unit. You also have HDMI in there as well, and this is HDMI 1 is the Barco. HDMI 2 is the table cable. And then this is your USB, which connects back to the microphone and the camera. So again, the only time you should ever really have to worry about this is if you're going through a troubleshooting mode. This is how we have everything connected. And if for some reason the cables become disconnected, at least you have this as a reference for how to reconnect them. And that is the summary on the 1904